welcome to So You Think You're Awake. Sorry for the delay of 5 minutes. The show is all about dreams and their meanings. I'm your host, Michael Sheridan, and it's my mission to set the record straight about dreams. Our show is live on Mondays at noon Pacific time on YouTube. Audio only is also available on Apple Podcasts and Google Play. You can send your dreams to the show at dream-analysis.com. You're getting a $500 value if your dream is picked, and you're getting valuable insights into the world of dreams regardless. Each show, it pays off for some lucky winners. Here's another case in point. On my last show, I analysed a dream from Sarah entitled Attacked by Elephants. In the analysis, I said the elephants indicate that she pretends to have a thick skin, but in reality is very hurt by issues with her parents. They disowned her, Sarah wrote in after the show. Wow, that's incredible and it makes sense. I always tell people that this is what she wrote after the show. It's incredible and it makes sense. I always tell people that I'm very well adjusted to the loss of my family, when in reality, if I speak too long about them, I start to cry. Perhaps I need to sit with those feelings, sad feelings, for a while. Well, no, you don't need to sit with them, you need to deal with them. Sarah was shunned by her family when she decided to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses faith. Do you remember when Jesus gave the Sermon on the Mount and told family members to shun each other? No, neither do I. This shunning is done out of fear. If a loved one leaves a religion and you still talk to them, guess what? You might leave too. I can appreciate there is trauma involved when your family cuts off all contact with you because you've stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. However, sitting with an issue as big as this, unless done as part of a therapy, rarely solves anything. It just hurts more. So I'm going to cover our symbol of the day now. We covered bread a few weeks ago, and one of its meanings is death. A seemingly very strange meaning. Recently, I remembered another dream where it means that, and it's straight from Joseph in the Bible. So today, I'm going to cover crows, as it will allow me to reference that dream. Crows and dreams are not good, and we should have a crow symbol up on the scene. Let's see, I got it. They can signify two things. The first is chronic depression, the type that everyone around you wants you to get help with. In this case, it is typically just one crow that is very large, enormous even. The crow is usually close by and elevation-wise is slightly above your head. The black colour of the crow and the shadow it casts are part of what makes this symbol work. These are not nice dreams, but their intention is to reveal the source of the depression so you can do something about it. The collective term, got to clear this again. Let's start off this again. And my mouse isn't working. Fine. Just hold on 2 seconds. And we are nearly there. Here we go. Sorry about that. So I've really moved things around with this. Okay, so the collective term for a group of crows is a murder. You can probably guess that this is not good in a dream either, and it's not. More than one crow in a dream typically warns of serious health conditions, a condition that will not resolve itself on its own. You must heed the advice of the dream. Ignoring it could lead to your death. For instance, a crow attacking your chest warns you of breast cancer. Now don't get scared by these dreams. We all develop cancer cells from time to time, and our immune system spots them and kills them. So everyone will have cancer dreams a few times in their life. This is normal. What is not normal is to have cancer dreams night after night over a long period of time. These you must heed. Dreams tell you what is triggering the development of cancer, so by following the advice in the dream, you will avoid the condition. As with all dream health warnings, you were given many years' notice, so have plenty of time to take the necessary preventative steps. If you are a cancer survivor, you will have more dreams about cancer than is typical. This is simply because it is a reality for you. Rather than warning you of a future outbreak, the dreams focus on how to let go of the trauma and the triggers that caused it in the first place. A few shows back, I featured the symbol bread. I chose to cover bread because a listener had a dream in which I told her, in which I told her the bread means death. Well, I recently thought of a great source where a dream was interpreted and bread meant exactly that. See if you know this one. I'm sure you heard of Joseph and his amazing dream interpretation skills. He's the one who saved Egypt by interpreting the Pharaoh's dream. Before he got the privilege, Joseph was a guest in the Pharaoh's dungeons, and while there he interpreted other inmates' dreams, ones who were awaiting judgment on whether they would live or die. One lucky guy, if you could call living in those times lucky, was told by Joseph that his dream meant he'd be forgiven and set free. The next person told Joseph this dream. There were 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket on my head. In this dream, the crows were indeed a bad omen. Joseph told him the Pharaoh would have him hanged in 3 days. Thinking about that now, the dreams I'm doing don't have nearly the same drama. But you can see where here are 2 very negative symbols, both of which can prophesize death. The breaded goods and the crows, with the bread actually being worse in this dream. Also note that the rest of the symbols in the baker's dream fit with the Aisling dream interpretation method. The 3 baskets indicate the time the baker has left, 3 days, and the white colour over his head indicates a judgment on his head. How about that? A dream symbol and a Bible study lesson. I'm always asked if I followed the advice in my own dreams. Well, yes, I do. I take the messages in my dreams stronger than most others, probably because I can't argue with them, given that the interpretation is what I do. Here's how it works for me. Last Tuesday night, I had a dream as follows. Wait for the slides to catch up. My daughter Heidi, whom you'll know from the radio show, broke 2 dark bottles on a park bench, and that got her arrested. She was facing 30 years in prison. In the dream, it was clear that feeling like she was a victim was responsible for her situation. Okay, it's a short dream. When I woke up, here's how I looked at it. First of all, it's all about me and nothing to do with Heidi. Rule 1 of interpretation, everything in a dream represents an aspect of the dreamer. The 2 broken bottles represent physical damage to my kidneys, so I was getting a warning that something I was drinking was damaging them. But I didn't know what. I don't drink alcohol because I followed that advice from a dream years ago. So it's not that. I thought because of the colour of the bottles that it might be telling me to cut out Coca-Cola, which I drink a lot of. In fact, in the last few weeks, I've been cutting down on it and replaced it with an aloe vera drink. I knew it was the Coca-Cola because I asked my guides about the new drink before I started drinking it. Moving on. Getting arrested by the police, not good in a dream, not good in reality. It means my guides want me to stop doing something. So clearly, my guides don't want me to damage my kidneys. Apart from the physical damage, something else is at stake here. Heidi is put in prison and faces 30 years. Heidi represents my female side in this dream. Children are often used because our love for our children causes us to become more concerned in the dream and therefore likely to take the action that the dream wants us to take. If I'm arrested in a dream, my attitude might be, there is nothing I could do, and I just feel helpless from that point on in the dream. Whereas if my daughter is arrested, I don't care what I'm told. I'm going to move mountains to get her out of prison. Nothing will stop me. Heidi is also a classic name to use in dreams because of the association with Jekyll and Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, a novel that resulted from his dreams. Hyde represents the shadow self that must be eliminated in order to better yourself. Heidi, in my dreams, indicates this dichotomy, exaggerated of course. Again, it is not a comment on her. She is chosen because of our closeness and because she can channel clearly, a goal I'm striving towards. Incidentally, Heidi is sitting behind the cameras here. You have to press it there. H. So Heidi represents my female side / heart and my ability to connect to the spirit world. Having that locked away is not a good sign for me in a dream. But there are two other things interesting here. The first is that the dream tells me that my drinking Coca-Cola since I was her age is what has kept me from a better connection. She's 29, by the way. So I just need to borrow a time machine to go back and fix that. The second is Heidi donated a kidney to her uncle, so now has only one kidney. She must be extra careful and avoid anything that would damage her kidney. So that brings us full circle. The message of this dream is avoid Coca-Cola to improve your kidney's health, and that will lead to an unrestricted, freer connection with your higher self and guides through your female side. And that's exactly the answer to the question I asked. I haven't drank Coca-Cola since. This next dream is from Holly and is titled Donald Trump is my dad. Although she just sent the dream in to the show, she had it 6 months before Donald Trump was elected president. Here's the dream. My parents were reminiscing about the early days of their marriage. As I reflected on the conversation, still dreaming, I suddenly recalled a vague memory from years earlier in which my mom mentioned that she used to date Donald Trump and that she'd gotten pregnant with me when they were dating. This memory is just part of the dream, but shortly after becoming pregnant, she and my dad fell madly in love and got married. It seemed odd that I could have forgotten about my mom's former relationship with Trump. I was going to a luncheon with Trump later in the day, so I figured I'd introduce myself to him and ask him about it. I happened to be seated with Trump at the luncheon and we chatted through the meal. To my surprise, he was quite pleasant. At the end of the lunch, I asked him, "Are you my dad?" He said, "Yes." I asked, "So this means you and my mom used to date?" He said, "Yes, before she met your dad. Your mother is a wonderful lady." I told Trump that since he was my father, I loved him. He said we could have a relationship and that I could call him dad. I said that would be fine. Okay, before we can interpret it, we need to know how she feels about Trump. Any president is symbolic of spiritual leadership, but Trump is chosen in the dream because of how the dreamer feels about him. Actually, that's an interesting point. A dream always intends the ideal, perfect representation of your ability, in this case, spiritual leadership. But the dreams are a dialogue between you and your higher self. They are not just a static message, in fact, anything but static. In this case, Holly's higher self sets out to remind her that she came here to be a spiritual leader and conveys that by using a presidential candidate. We end up with Trump because of Holly's input to the dream. Trump is who they converge on. Her higher self has made its point, and Holly has already reflected on it. I asked Holly how she feels about Trump. My thoughts are irrelevant. It is only the dreamers that matter. She said, "I'm wary of higher authority figures like presidents, politicians, CEOs of big companies, law enforcement, etc. They often seem susceptible to corruption and driven by ego. I don't generally feel that way about lower level authority figures like bosses, teachers or parents." She continues, "I'm sorry to say that I do not like Donald Trump. I consider him irresponsible, short-sighted and an embarrassment." It's that last part that matters most. If she picked a candidate that she loved, it would have been better. Rule 1 of interpretation is that everything in a dream represents an aspect of you. This means that Holly has a dim view of her spiritual leadership ability because she could end up misusing it. It might be best not to try at all. That way you can't become the embarrassment or corrupted leader you see in others. But here's how it works. The reason you're to become a spiritual leader is precisely because you will have to deal with those issues. Overcoming those is part of your life purpose. When we use our spiritual abilities, we are not just helping others, we are helping ourselves too. Let's get back to the dream. My parents were reminiscing about the early days of their marriage. These are all good symbols. Everything relates to the subject matter of spiritual leadership. Reminiscing views it in a positive light. That's always good. Thinking back to why she came here. Her early days when she was aware of her purpose and being positive about it. The marriage is also positive. In this context, it means marry yourself to your purpose. I love how in this dream she recalls a vague memory of her mom dating Donald Trump. This is before her mom was pregnant with her. This is how we can definitively say that Holly came here to be a spiritual leader. There are 9 stages of life revealed in dreams. Pre-birth is the first and typically shows the training, goals, and indeed the interview process we have to pass to get our position here. We promise the sun, moon and stars, that's figuratively. Many people are relying on us to play our agreed part in order for them to achieve their goals. In Holly's case, she promised to develop and use her spiritual leadership skills, and others came here relying on her to follow through on this agreement. Each playing their part, each influencing the other in a beautiful dance that increases the awareness of everyone involved. When one person doesn't play, the original design must be adjusted, and that's part of what our guides do throughout our lives. Holly says it is odd that she could have forgotten about Trump, but as can only happen in a dream, since she will be meeting him later in the day, she will introduce herself to him. This is Holly realising she is off her path and being surprised that it could have slipped her mind. But her intention is to reacquaint herself with her gift. Great, that's the best outcome of this dream. We can never run too far from our abilities, so it is no surprise to find Holly sitting next to Trump in the next scene. The message being that your gift is within easy reach. You chat and are surprised at how pleasant he is. Again, this is excellent and indeed rare to see in a dream. Holly is fully embracing her gift. Well, that would be a terrific outcome if she embraced Trump. She doesn't, but we can still see how she warmly accepts he is part of her lineage, which means when it comes to her spiritual leadership ability, she is pleasantly surprised by it. It is not what she expected. The dream finishes positively. Holly has overcome her issues and goes so far as to say she now loves her ability. Trump is playing a guide in this dream and Holly accepts his advice. She happily accepts his push to get closer and continue an intimate connection with the ability he represents. Here's a very short dream from Jerry Lynn. I entered a small elevator. My small dog was in the elevator with me. I couldn't find a door and I began to get afraid. I picked up my dog and pressed floor 3. Instead, the elevator kept going up and up to floor 36, which was the penthouse. It was beautiful and was being cleaned by 2 cleaners. That's the entire dream. One of the things that can make interpretation difficult is that a symbol can have more than one meaning, and you have to know which meaning is implied in the dream. That's the beauty of the Ashling method. It's hard to get it wrong because you must tie all the symbols together around the subject matter of the dream. The elevator in Jerry Lynn's dreams is a case in point. Typically, because they are a restricted, enclosed space, they represent the womb. But here it is about the dreamer raising her consciousness. We know that because of the movement upwards to a very high location, floor 36 in this dream. We've had dreams on the show where the elevator leaves the building and flies up into the sky. It's in the same vein, but here the dream's focus is raise your consciousness while remaining in your body. You don't need to leave it. It's not really a stretch for the elevator to mean this when you consider, as I said, it typically represents moving your consciousness into your body while in the womb. Jerry Lynn is afraid in the dream, and that's okay. The fear is not a warning of anything bad to come. It's simply a fear of getting deeper into her spiritual side. Many of us, because of our upbringing, including tales of demons and hell, have to overcome this fear. But consider how ironic this is. We are a spiritual being. This fear, although very common, is a fear of discovering who we are. Ask yourself, who does that benefit? Not you. In the dream, Jerry Lynn couldn't find the door and gets afraid. She was afraid of not being able to control where she's going and getting trapped. She picks up her small dog. Dogs in dreams represent an animal side, our animal side. We are animals on the animal planet, after all, but we often forget that. This part of the dream is funny because Jerry Lynn is not too fond of this dog. It's her husband's. But picking him up is good. This represents her accepting her animal nature, while at the same time it shows her fear is for her body. Very interestingly now, she presses floor 3. 3 has to do with commitment. So this means the dreamer is aware of her fears in this area and is pushing past them. She's committed herself to this journey. If floor 3 was her only option, it would be her higher self asking her to commit. But because she is the one hitting that button, we know she's put herself on the journey. Excellent. The elevator goes to floor 36 instead, the penthouse. So she's going right to the top of the building, but still in the building. The penthouse represents our spiritual side, our higher side, higher vibration. That's how we are certain that the elevator represents a raising of consciousness. The view from the penthouse gives her the highest perspective, the best view. That's what Jerry Lynn is aiming for. The ability to connect with her higher self and share the view of life that it has. Floor 36, we've covered 3. 6 has to do with going beyond the 5 senses and onto the dharmic path, where you are fully in alignment with your higher self. You've dropped sources of conflict that keep you disconnected. That fits in perfectly here. Put together, 36 means commitment to the dharmic path, or commitment to getting onto the dharmic path. Just like she says in the dream, it's beautiful. Notice she's lost her fear once she gets to this point. The dreamer finds 2 cleaners working. That's really good in a dream. When I asked for further details, she said it was a black and white tiled floor. That's not so good, but tells her what she must overcome to make it to where she wants to go. She must drop being judgmental. You can't have a black and white attitude towards this goal and achieve it at the same time. But the cleaners mean Jerry Lynn is aware of this and is cleaning or clearing that block. All in all, a great dream to have. I want to take a moment and talk about the larger picture that dreams are a vital part of, and that is your purpose. If you travelled to an alien planet and a local asked you, who are you and why are you here? Your answer would include your skills, where you came from and what prompted the journey and what you hope to gain or discover on your travels. I'm from Dublin. I lived there all my life. I cycled across the city twice each school day. I knew where everything was, but I didn't know the place. That only changed when my wife's American relatives started visiting us in Dublin. They asked the questions I never asked. I had to research my own city to answer them and to find places of interest to bring them. They opened my eyes, or more accurately, they showed me that my eyes were shut to what was in front of me all my life. When I was 27, my eyes were opened even further, and I'll get to that in a moment. I was born into a Catholic family. My mother was devoutly religious. I went to a Christian Brothers school, and I was a pain in the ass. At one point, I thought I would become a priest, but I turned away from that and became an atheist. 2 ends of the spectrum. I didn't believe in God, angels, spirits, or anything other than what we could prove with science. When I say I was a pain in the arse, it was only me who thought that. When I look back on it, I realised that the headmaster of the school was a wise and patient man. He never rebuked me. He offered to get a theologian to debate me. I refused. I already had all the answers. What a punk. When I was 26, I learned to meditate using the Silva mind control method. I was technical manager on a large computer project, and I learned the meditation to help me focus on technical issues. I meditated for at least 90 minutes each day for over a year. One night, just after getting into bed, I spotted 3 spirits in my room. They were as real as you are. And I'm wearing new glasses, so they were in sharp focus. I did what any sane person would do. I screamed. I shouted and pointed them out to my wife, but she couldn't see them. I couldn't believe that she couldn't see them. They were so clearly there. That was the start of my fall into the spiritual field. Obviously, seeing spirits did not fit with my atheist views. Over a few months, I saw spirits more often, until I was seeing them all the time. I didn't realise that meditation is what unlocked my ability, so was continuing it. My journey to understand what I was seeing taught me a lot. Clearly, my eyes were still shut. Apparently, the spirit world didn't need me to believe in it for it to exist. I had been so close to the possibility of a spirit world that I didn't even know what questions to ask or who to ask. Ultimately, it led me to dream interpretation, and I discovered it had the answers I needed. Dreams answer your questions every single night, even the ones you forget to ask, like who am I and why am I here? Right from the beginning, it just made sense to me, and I immersed myself in it. I particularly love how dreams focus on the big picture. When I talk about dream interpretation, I love to cover guides and how they help you in your life. In my early classes, 25 years ago now, I'd be explaining their existence while looking at people's guides standing behind them. Too often, the reaction was, I'd love to believe in them, but there's no evidence. I never told anyone back then that I was looking at the evidence. I didn't used to share that, but one time after getting that reaction, I got the crazy notion to show my students how to see guides. I started by showing them how to see the aura and then how to see spirits. It took just 10 minutes and nearly everyone could see them. Our discussion on guides was much more open after that. What about you? Would you say you're spiritual? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you agree you have a soul? That last one was a trick question. But it highlights that we often look at things backwards here on the earth plane. You don't have a soul. You are a soul and you have a body. This clarification is vitally important for the correct understanding of almost anything in the spiritual field, including dreams. Your soul is the part of you that is sent to the earth plane in order to live a life that includes specific experiences. The intention is that by living through these experiences, you will learn about yourself, and your reaction to these experiences will ultimately help you regain awareness of who you are. This is the point of it all. Your life is intended to help you increase awareness of who you are. Nobody can do it for you. You must experience awareness. It's like riding a bike. You only know it by experience. You can't read about it and know it. You must have the experience to know it. Experience here reveals to you who you are. Knowing who you are is the first step for increasing your awareness. How? For example, if you spot conditioning that limits you, you can do something to eliminate the effects of that conditioning. Once you've done that, your awareness increases. Working on yourself usually leads to huge leaps in awareness, and we all need to work on ourselves. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here in the first place. Your life was designed with a specific purpose and was planned in great detail so as to best achieve that purpose. You trained to use specific abilities before you came here. Everyone here has at least one spiritual ability that they trained in for years. These abilities are the most precious part of your nature. Unfortunately, in our society, most of us suppress them because we want to fit in. As Marianne Williamson put it, we dim our lights so that others may appear to shine more brightly. We are moving into a female energy age. We are living in interesting times. Due to the Earth's wobble, the spring equinox moves westward across the constellations. We officially enter a new age when the spring equinox leaves Pisces and enters Aquarius. Pisces and the 5 stages before it were male energy ages. No surprise that right now we live in a patriarchal society, governed by male energy, but that's now changing and we can see it. Trump is actually even helping with that change. A patriarchal society cannot be maintained in a female energy age. When the current male energy age of Pisces ends, that's it. This society is on life support and the decision to pull the plug has already been made. The switchover isn't clinical, it's gradual and stepped. And as the female energy increases, more and more people are being switched on to their spiritual abilities and life purpose. A major infusion of energy began in late December. It is aimed at light workers. Light workers are people who work in the spiritual field, and part of their purpose is to assist others and raise their vibrations and discover their own abilities. Many of you are light workers. Some of you don't even know it. Light workers are not a cult or a clique. They are very much individuals and are frequently unaware of each other. Each, however, has found something powerful that they want to share, a personal discovery that they know can enlighten and help others. If you put them together, they can disagree about the path others should take. Many believe the path that helped them is the one that will help everyone. Dreams reveal this is not the case. Everyone's path is unique, and blindly following a path that worked for someone else is crazy. You must discover your own path. It may align with something you already want to do, but it may not. You get no points for walking the wrong path. It doesn't matter how many people you help while doing it. The spiritual path appears selfish and even nuts to people who are not on it. It appears selfish because on the spiritual path, you do what you came here to do, not what your partner wants you to do, not what your parents want, not what your friends or children want. How can you be so selfish that you won't do what they want? After all, they think they know best. It appears nuts because it's not logical. You may leave a well-paying job with good retirement benefits to work in a field that pays very little. First, you had the audacity to ignore what your loved ones want you to do. Now you've just sealed the deal. Trust me, they have talked about intervention. So too have your dreams. They have been screaming at you to wake up and remember why you came here. You don't have to remember it all at once. You can start by getting in touch with one of your abilities. We all have at least one, like I said. Every one of us. Dreams show your gifts as the most precious part of your being. Why? Because it is through using them that you will pay your self-imposed karmic debts and thus free yourself from the chains you hold on to. Wow, does that sound harsh? Today, I just don't feel like dancing around the issue. Most people, including those who discover their abilities, will never develop them or use them as they intended before coming here. The number of places here on the earth is limited. We are interviewed before we get one. We promise the sun, moon and stars, like I said in that interview. Just let me in and I'll do everything I need and more. I'll heal half the planet. I'll change the field of counselling completely. I'll discover how to harness the power of a black hole. The world will increase in vibration, all because of me. Then we get here and instead we discover that Channel 37 has reruns of Seinfeld. How can working on yourself compare to that? But the system and your life were designed knowing you'd likely do that. Your dreams relentlessly work on you to switch you on. In the dream world, you know exactly what your dream is about. You know what it is asking you to do. And more often than not, you reject the message. I don't want to work on myself. I don't need to. The problem is with my partner. I'm going to leave him and find Mr. Right. I know I've tried that and it didn't work before, but this time my eyes are open and I won't make the same mistakes. You're correct, really. You won't make a mistake, just like you did in the last times. Psychologists will tell you that you pick a partner with the same traits as the parent you have most issues with. It's not a mistake that you pick a partner who can push your buttons. You need a partner to do that because you moved away from your mom or dad and now she can't. Your life would be a failure if it didn't show you that you have issues. If you don't know you have issues, how can you work on them? Eventually, you listen to your dreams and embrace their message. You work on yourself and guess what happens? The jerks out there are no longer interested in you. They need someone with buttons to push. Now you're free of that issue, and with your raised vibration, you're both attracted to and attract others with a higher vibration. Your higher self and guides are instrumental in the planning of your life. They also fine-tune the plan during the rehearsal stage before you embarked on this lifetime. You're not just left on your own when you get here. Your guides work with you at all times to influence you to make choices and react in ways that would help you best achieve your purpose. Everything that happens, your emotional state and the triggers for it, your health and the triggers for that, the impact of events and your reaction to them, the influence of and your reaction to other people, everything is monitored and reported in your dreams. When you sleep, with your focus on the physical world suspended, your higher self sends you the dreams to guide you and heal you. They are very specific. They are not a one-way transmission. They are a dialogue between you and your higher self. From examining the dialogue and looking at your reaction to the message of the dream, you can learn a lot about why you're here and why you came here, along with your willingness to accept your life purpose. Okay, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please hit the like button on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. On the show, I don't go into the finer details of why some symbols mean what I say or how particular abilities work. I cover that in my book and to a far greater degree on my course, The Dream Tracker's Guide to Discovering Your Life Purpose. My next online course starts on September 16th. The course runs over 8 weeks, during which I interpret your dreams, just like I do on this show, but in more detail, and some I do one-to-one. That's just me, you, and your dreams. But because I analyze dreams from each participant, there are limited places. Depending on your budget and how much you want from it, the Dream Interpretation course has 3 levels for you to choose from, starting at $897. All levels offer free lifetime access to the material and the recordings of the live group calls with me. I don't run them often. This is my first in a year. The most common feedback I get from participants is that my course changed their lives. That's very humbling, but that's what your dreams want for you, to change your life for the better in every aspect. I see this happen over and over again, usually by week 5 of the course. Join my course and I'll tell you exactly what your dreams are saying to you. I'll include links to my September 16 course below this video. In the meantime, realize the value in having a dream correctly interpreted and send your dreams to me via the show at dream-analysis.com. Remember, you're getting a $500 value if your dream is picked and you're getting valuable insights into the world of dreams regardless. I get so many requests that I'm going to come back hopefully next Monday, that's August 28th. People weren't happy with the show moving out to once every 3 weeks. And Heidi's working with me to cut down the preparation time. As you see, we still have a few little things to fine tune, but we're going to get there. We are getting there. Setting the record straight on dream interpretation, I'm Michael Sheridan, and I'll leave you with this quote from Rumi. The inspiration you seek is already within you. Be silent and listen.